Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special Deck Tech with my friend and colleague from the AGE Pro Team, John Zapata. My name is Bryce Platts, also a member of Team AGE, and we're here talking because John had a very favorable result at Battle Hardened Amsterdam, which in which the format was Living Legend. So we're really stoked to be putting this out at a time where a lot of us are preparing for skirmish season, where Living Legend is a relevant format. John, how did you enjoy Amsterdam?
Oh yeah, love Amsterdam. First time in the Netherlands as a whole. I've been to Germany and Belgium, but first time in Netherlands. Such a great town. I love it. Yes. It's definitely a crazy town. I know that for sure. Yes.
Did you get into any trouble or?
Not into trouble. I did say that I will. The thing that I wanted to see was the Anne Frank house. So I love that book, and so I wanted to see the Anne Frank house. See, but I'm such a dummy. I didn't know that's such a small space that you have to reserve your visit like 6 months in advance. So
That makes a lot of sense.
I got
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
I got there. They turned me away the doors. They
If I recall
scram
the
come
book
back.
properly, they weren't living in a mansion. It was a
I
pretty
know.
pretty cramped quarters.
Yeah. I should have at least reread the summary. But something to do when I come back. I did see the outside and the outside facade, so it was cool.
Awesome,
Yeah,
awesome. I also
and then
heard
yeah.
I heard about
mm,
a fated 22-mile bike ride that the rest of the team took. What happened there?
Oh, I wasn't part of the bike ride. They did that after I left on a Monday because
Oh,
I
okay.
flew back Monday. Yeah. But my first day there and the first day with the team, I rented a bike and rode around town. Nobody else did, so I was the only one in a bike. So when we have to go somewhere, I zoom past ahead of them and they caught up to me. So
Sounds like you set the
I,
trend and everybody else followed.
yes, I rode a bike to one of the coffee shops and told everyone to go, and they all did. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed your time. Let's talk about why you're here, man. You took Icelander Stormbind, a hero we haven't seen in quite a while, to this
I
tournament,
know.
and you did quite well. How did you place, and how do you feel about Icelander in general in this format?
Yeah, well, I love Icelander. I played Icelander for about like a year and a half when she was legal, like starting from when Prism LL until Icelander LL, because I guess she wasn't that played or that good before when Prism was legal. It's a bad matchup, but yeah, so she's been LL since I guess earlier this year, if I
Mm-hmm.
remember correctly. But I did play her at Worlds, did pretty well with her, and then when I saw that, I think the last like BNR announcement, they finally unrestricted Channel Lake Frigid. And I knew there was going to be a Living Legend Battle Hardened in Amsterdam. Like I didn't play in any of the other previous Battle Hardened Living Legend in Barcelona and in LA. I didn't really think there was a deck that I wanted to play, but once they announced that Channel Lake Frigid was unrestricted, I immediately went back and found my old Icelander deck and put it together and decided I'm gonna play this tournament because I love playing Icelander. And yeah, it ended up working out. I finished 6-1 in Swiss and made top eight and lost in round one though. So
That's awesome.
or in the quarters, yeah.
You
But
saw
yeah,
you.
it's still better than I thought because I didn't really test it too much. Like I
Yeah,
played one best out of three against Zen, but the rest was just all theory and just muscle memory from playing it for so long. Yeah.
that's awesome. One of my favorite things about this LL format is that we get to re-experience a lot of the heroes and play patterns that are like super nostalgic for us. And now
Oh
we
yeah,
have a
yeah.
place to do that. So I'm glad you got to pick up your
Definitely, yeah.
staff and listen to the Frozen soundtrack over and over again and get back in the saddle.
I know, I know. I want that art is so amazing. I love that Icelander full art.
Couldn't agree
I've been
more.
trying to get a cold foil version, but now with the $125 I get from this Ballard, maybe I can afford
There
it.
you go, man. So the by and large, I'm just going to scroll through this deck real quick. This
Yeah.
looks fairly similar to my last Icelander opponent's uh, deck when I played against her in CC. Right? There's a lot of
Yeah.
familiar faces here. One of the things that stands out to me immediately is in the equipment suite. Um, by and large, it's everything we've seen before, right? Coronet Peak, Vandal Spring Tunet, Stormstriders, and Waning Moon. However, we've got a new contender just out from Part the Mistveil. Talk to me about Stonewall Gauntlet.
Yeah, I think pretty much the only thing new that she got in the last few sets since she LL'd is the Stonewall Gauntlet. Sure. And it's a good addition to the deck. I mean, it's much better than what we normally run previously in this slot, which is just the Iron Rod Gauntlet or even the Iron Hide Gauntlet.
Hmm.
And Iron Rod was good in this deck. Like just even the block one. So like having another block one that potentially block two or even more against Zen is such a very good upgrade. It's a really good card. Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about Zen real quick because I think that was one of the major pain points for you or major question marks for you in testing this deck and taking it to Amsterdam. There's since we're on the subject of Zen, there's a card that I know you want to talk about. Talk to me about Channel the Bleak Expanse and specifically how it relates to the Zen matchup.
Yeah, so Channel the Bleak Expanse, I had it in the maybe board. Like when I put together the deck, I had CNC in this spot. But I did bring the Channel the Bleak Expanse just in case I wanted to play it. And the morning of the Battle Hardened, we were registering our deck list, and fellow teammate Zach was suggesting that yeah, Channel the Bleak Expanse should be so good against like Zen and like any deck that plays art that does like draw cards and reveal cards. So, and I thought about it more, and that I started off like I scratched up one CNC, put one Bleak Expanse, and then a little bit more like, oh, no, I think I should play all three. And so I ended up like scratching off the CNCs, putting all three Channel the Bleak Expanses, and it's just so good. I just imagined like them activating Zen, and then you flash this out, and all they get is just one crouching tiger, and that happened like many times.
Yeah,
So it's
so
good. Like there's a little bit of like something that you need to watch out for because it is a symmetrical effect. So your fuses get turned off as well, but yeah, you can play around it for the most part. Yeah,
I was about to
I think it
say
still outweighs the benefit. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say I played this deck on an LL stream the other day, and pretty much immediately against Zen, I threw it out there, and then I tried to fuse an Aether Ice Vein coming back at him, and I realized my folly right away. Um,
Yeah.
However, like in 2 turn cycles, I basically prevented him from doing a Bonds line and prevented him from playing an Art of War. So it really seems like it cuts more towards the Zen than for you. Um, and
Yeah, for Zen, I
and
also
you
ended up playing it against KEO. It
That makes
stopped
a lot
like
of
a draw
sense.
discard. Like
Yeah.
if they play a wild ride with no cards in hand, it stops the draw discard. But there's still other applications. I guess Chain as well, but it didn't come up as often against Chain for some reason with me. But I
Yeah,
think it's primarily more for against Zen.
yeah, it makes sense. Chain's a little tougher because he's mainly just putting cards directly into his banish zone, right?
Yeah, I guess it hits Belittle Art of War. Maybe
Hmm.
it didn't line up as well, but theoretically it could be good. Yeah.
So there's a lot of this looks very similar to when she was played in CC. The Wounded Bulls that were
Mhm.
made famous by Michael Hamilton at the first Worlds, along with the Fandol's Fighting Spirits and all these really high efficiency attacks. Your Aether Ice Veins that serve you so well in the end game. Blue Emeritus Sculpting that helps us find that combo turn towards the end. But also, we've got a series of cards that you weren't allowed to play with anymore towards the end of her run in CC. Talk to me about both Amulet of Ice and we'll get to Hypothermia after that. These are cards that were banned before Icelander LL. How does it feel to be playing those again?
Oh, it felt so good to play Amulet Device again. Like immediately the first game that I played, I sat down I guess the round one. I went first turn zero and I dropped two Amulet Device right away. And like, oh my god, this card is like it's really key in Icelander because sometimes you get like four cards that you can't really all play out, but having a card like this that has go again, you can play out a 4 card hand, and just the effect of just choosing when to activate it is just like really amazing. And plus, it's a zero cost ice card you can play out of your arsenal too. That gives a frostbite. So it's just coming back in the deck. I remember how good it was, and I guess it was why it was banned. But yeah, it's a really good card.
Yeah, I remember playing it in Lexi, and it doesn't shine nearly as much as it does in Icelander, and it still felt amazing. I missed this card a lot.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
the only downside is it doesn't block, but it's still so good. Yeah.
right. Let's talk about the other previously banned card, Hypothermia. Notoriously restricted in the Living Legend format at the moment, which is why you're only running one of them because that's the only legal move. How often
Yep.
did this come up for you, and how much of a game winner was it?
It came up quite a few times, and it and I think I probably won at least one of my games against Zen, where he was like he was deciding whether to break his stubbies, and I know he's thinking like I hope he doesn't have hypothermia in an arsenal. Sure enough, he broke stubbies, played Descend on Gust Wave, and then Bonds of Ancestry, and hypothermia comes out and it just stops your whole turn. So yeah, it's good against Zen. Chain as well. As KO as well. So it's just yeah, it's such a messed up card in Icelander. Like just stops the whole turn. It can really like IP your opponent if they're not playing around it.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Chain and KO because these are two decks that never had to contend with Icelander at her peak. And so these are decks
Mhm.
that traditionally haven't had to deal with hypothermia, but are highly affected by it. Chain because of his hero ability, KO because pretty much every one of his cards that he wants to play gains go again.
Yeah, yeah,
Sounds like it'd be a
yeah.
real blowout.
Yeah, Chin can probably get around a bit by playing the Spellbound Creepers, but that's just only still just one attack. So yeah, like Hypothermia, I wish there was three. Otherwise, Icelander might just be like, the best deck if there's three of them. So
Yeah, because
at
same
least I get
same with
like one.
I'm also thinking about Starvo now too, right?
Yeah, I guess if they fuse and go again, yeah, it doesn't come up often. I didn't really play against any Starvo during a tournament, but
Hmm.
I don't exactly know if you need to run Hypothermia in that matchup. But if it's just a one-off, maybe, yeah, it's still worth including.
I'm noticing another interesting piece of tech, the one of Warmonger's Diplomacy. Who are you mainly hoping to deploy this against?
I think right now it's just against Chain and Briar. Um, and it's good in Icelander as well. If you play it out of Arsenal in instant speed, so you already know it doesn't take into effect until the next turn, so you know what to if you need to choose Warrior Piece. Um, so yeah, just playing it out of instant speed, it's really good against Chain, like especially if they have on high shackles and just flash this out, and they're gonna take a lot of damage.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. A chain with with 10 blood deck cards and then all of a sudden their turns
Yeah,
turned off.
yep, yep.
You're
I
convincing
didn't,
me. The more we talk, the more you're
yeah,
convincing me.
I didn't get to play it as often. But yeah, I guess it's definitely there mostly for Chain.
Hmm. I'm also noticing that the scours that are finding their way into Kano lists in the CC meta at the moment are here as well. Who is this tech for?
It's there for Chain as well. Like to kill their soul shackles and maybe
Mhm.
Prism. I didn't play against Prism, so you can kill the blue auras. But I do think that three was a little bit too much. I think you only need two. You only really need to see it when they have like three shackles, so to make it efficient or make it worth it. So I think moving forward, I'll probably just play two scours. I think that should be enough to like slow down Chain by hitting their soul shackles. I'll probably put like another energy potion on it. So
Okay. And the energy potions you typically like to run, right? But they only come out in very certain circumstances.
yeah, it's only like for the wizard mirror, for the most part, and if they're trying to fatigue you to make your external combo bigger. But for the wizard mirror, it's really important. I guess I didn't. I thought it was gonna be not a lot of wizards in the Living Legend format, so I only brought two. But if I knew the spread of heroes coming back, I would have definitely played three of these.
Since you mentioned fatigue, I do want to talk about like that age old combo that Icelander can do. And
Mhm.
did you ever get to employ the Frost Hex and Ice Eternal combo?
Yes, and this tournament once I played Oldhim in round, I guess 5. I was trying to fatigue me, so I ended up having to set up like a Frost X Ice Eternal combo, and I put three Frost Hexes out, and um, and I did an Ice Eternal for X equals 6, so 12. I did like 27 damage, and then that's after stripping their whole hand with Amulet of Ices the previous turn. So
I was about to say
that's been made.
Amulet of Ice coming back is another thing that, or the combo is easier even to pull off with Amulet of Ice back, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, much makes it much easier, and yeah, it's their primary way to beat fatigue. If they have a lot of AB, yeah, you cannot win otherwise. You'll get fatigued, so you have to go for the Ice Eternal Frost X combo. Yeah.
Do you think this deck ever loses to fatigue now that she's gotten those important pieces of her toolkit back?
I don't think so. Like, I guess I haven't lost to one yet. But I think just with the Ice Eternal combo, like you're always like you have the inevitability like to win against fatigue. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless you like you sided it out if you didn't know they were gonna go in fatigue.
Moving back to the core of the deck real quick, I know I
Mhm.
think one of the things that differentiated a lot of these Icelander lists were the number of Aether Ice Veins that people were running. I
Mhm.
know it was pretty typical for people to kind of waffle on whether or not the yellows come in. Maybe not necessarily in the reds and blues as much, but I noticed you have two yellows, making your total count 8. Talk to
Mhm.
me about this and why that was where you ended up.
Yeah, yellow ice veins is it's like something that I think can be it's like a maybe in the deck, but because having a yellow in the deck really messes up your cost curve because the deck is mainly built around having a pitching a blue. So sometimes you draw this and it's an awkward hand and you can't really play it out and like you lose a turn cycle. But I think it's still worth an include. It's the four breakpoint that forces disruption if it goes through. Um, so I think it's still worth including at least two. You can go to three, but I like two, so you don't see it as much. It's also like the way to reach, have an extra reach in the end game if you just need to push that one extra damage. The four breakpoint is really good on it. Yeah.
Fantastic. So at this point, I'd like to talk a little bit about your matchup spread. Uh,
Yeah.
and
One more thing about the attack actions
yeah,
in
go ahead.
Icelander. Yeah. So like I really think the build with attack actions is really good. Like I think during the Lexi meta, like I did try out like all arcane builds. But just having the attack actions is just I think like my preferred way to play Icelander. Like these attack actions really is your main way of pushing damage. I think either it goes through, they just deal direct damage or they don't block it, or if they block it, then they open themselves up like with only a few cards and you can like chip them with Maning Moon on their turn and a spell from your arsenal. So yeah, I like these attacks. The Scar for Scar is just a good attack, above rate card if it has go again, but if you have less health. Um, and then E Strike is just such a flexible card, you know. If you draw both two reds, you can just attack like almost like a one cost seven, right? So, and if you have a big, if you get stuck with a full hand, it gives you a way to play out the whole hand by doing the go again mode, and then you can always do the five draw card arsenal the next card. So yeah, and then the Twin Towers of the Final Fighting Spirit and Wounded Bull. That is so good. The three
The
for
Twin
eight. So
Towers, I've
double.
never heard him described that way. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, the Twin Towers. I guess it's uh, they're like just big attack that beat your opponent up. Oh, I guess I did acquire Cold Foil
Show
Wounded
me,
Bulls.
John.
Oh,
Heck
how
yeah,
shiny
man.
those are, you know?
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I got to play them. It's cool. They did remove the flavor text on the Cold Foil version. Weird, but yeah, and then I think Phantom Fighting Spirit is gonna get extended art, alternate art version soon, or Rainbow Flights.
Yeah, because that is going
Yeah,
to be quite a card in Verdance, isn't it?
I know. I think Verdance is gonna be good. So I think of these two, but yeah, the Twin Towers, or like Icelander's bodyguards, you know, like her offensive lineman or something,
Yeah,
just beside her, like smacking down everyone, one with a sword, one with a spear, just smacking everyone that tries to attack her.
I love the
Yeah,
flavor.
cool decks, yeah.
Since we're on the subject of these attacks, is there ever an instance in which they come out where they're just not efficient enough because you're under too much pressure?
Yeah, sometimes I guess like if you get hit by sometimes maybe in against Lexi I used to cut them because like getting if you get a frostbite it's so hard to play with these 3/4/7s. I didn't play against Lexi so I didn't have to like maybe against Starvo as well if you get hit by like a Frosty 4 you have to messes up your cost curve so bad but I think it's still worth playing them like it's just your way to like keep up with damage and keep life parity until the end so.
Absolutely. And for those of us that haven't had experience into Icelander, maybe you could quickly run me down the Icelander the traditional Icelander endgame plan. The, like what life total are you trying to get your opponent down to while maintaining life parity?
Yeah, I think like you just want to keep life parity until you get like almost to the single digits, right? Like I feel like once you get your opponent sub 10 and you have enough life buffer, like you almost always guaranteed to win, especially against aggro. Like cause you have like those finisher ice cards like Ice Bolt, Emeritus Scalding is so good. Like and they're naturally good because they're blues that you pitch that you have at the end of your game. So basically, yes, Emeritus Scalding and Ice Bolt plus the Waning Moon is what 3 and 6 damage. Plus you can Storm Striders out like a 5 cost. I mean, a 5 damage spell, or a 4 another Emeritus Scalding. So that's like around 11 damage. So you wait for them to like play out their turn, tap out a little bit, calculate how much they can like AB, and I think you can just flash out these attacks at instant speed at the end of the turn for like a combo, and just like around sub 10, I feel like once they're in single digits, I think it's almost over.
So you heard it here, folks. When you're doing your Living Legend skirmishes and you face your first Icelander, if you haven't been a part of this game for very long, do not go below 10 life without knowing what's coming. What since
I think the most damage you can do is like I guess Emeritus from Arsenal with the Metacarpus are like 5, so meaning with 8 plus another 6 from a red ice vein, so it's that 14. Or, so like I think if you're 15, then you're safe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And since we're on the subject of, since you mentioned Metacarpus Node, because of the addition of Stonewall Gauntlet, like you said, being even better than Iron Rot, like when do these Metacarpus
Mhm.
nodes come in?
Yeah, they come in for the mirror, obviously, because it's AB1. It also comes in if you know that they're going to be on fatigue because it gives you that extra reach. And also, I do play it against Briar, and I'm against Chain. I still don't know. I ran Stonewall against Chain. Um, because I wanted to like block some of the breakpoints, and it did block like a shadow puppetry attack. But in one of my games against Chain, like I couldn't block Rune Chance at the end of the game when I only had Storm Strider because it's AB2. So maybe I think it's still worth an include Metacarpus Node in that matchup. It's probably needs more testing because they can chip you with some Rune Chance here and there without AB1, because you run still Tunic and Cornet Peak against Chain. So without it, you only have AP2, and you have to pitch 2 every time they attack with a Rune Chant if you're low. So
That's great. Last thing before we move on to your specific matchups that you faced, I wanted to take a look at what's sitting in your maybe board. The things that didn't quite make the cut. You already mentioned this before, but talk to me again about your graffiti deck list, and the last minute exclusions of this card.
yeah, so CNC is like, I guess used against Popper, obviously against Illusionist. So you go up to like 9 poppers, and also it's for Lexi, like because most of the time you get like a Frostbite, so you can still play it out against one blue and Disruptor Arsenal. So that's this mainly where I don't even play it into aggro. I think I just play your normal suite. So when I was playing the deck, I would have put Command and Conquer against Prism, Dromai, or and Lexi. And then in the same way, in case is also for Lexi. Um, I guess if you can like freeze them and they cannot do, if they're not running trench, then they get stuck, right? So, but I haven't really played with this card too much, even when she was legal against Lexi. So it's mostly there, just like I wanted to test it out, but I ended up not putting it in. So
And then you had
I know you
already
played Lexi for a while. Like you played Lexi for a while. Like how does in case mess up Lexi?
it hurts. It hurts a lot.
It does. Oh
I
man.
mean, yeah, I think I forget which event it was, but there was an event where the finals was between an Icelander and Alexi, and Encase plus Warmonger's Diplomacy, which had just been released, were just
Hmm.
absolutely savaging the Lexi player because they didn't bring in Trench. And so
Okay.
that was one of those games that kind of convinced me, like the tail end of the Lexi meta, um, at
Mhm.
at least for nationals in Vegas that year, it was a trench only situation just because I was so afraid of this card being brought in against me and Warmonger's Diplomacy. I just didn't want to be caught with my pants down.
Okay.
So,
I do wonder how many the Lexis in this tournament actually brought change.
yeah,
I guess
exactly.
we can
And
know. Yeah.
and maybe it's
I
not
never
a
faced one, so I didn't. Yeah.
yeah. And since we're on that subject, before we move on, I'll just mention that last energy potion. You already talked about potentially bringing that in over one of those other blues. But yeah,
Yeah.
I
Plus,
always think,
I have the I have the LA EPOT alternate armor, so I want to play all three.
oh yeah, you're pretty art and flash minded when it comes to your sideboard, huh?
For sure, for sure.
I respect that about you, John.
I can't afford the Marvel CNCs though, so I don't think that will happen.
Maybe colleague Andrew Rudin would let you borrow him sometime.
Yes, yeah, maybe if he's if he's a little bit more generous, that things let me borrow it.
Anything else you want to mention about the core of the deck before we move on to the matchups you faced in Amsterdam?
No, I think it's just pretty much a standard list that's everyone's been playing for a while, except for the new things that came back, like Amulet of Ice, Hypothermia, and and now I guess Channel Diptych expands, but and nothing too spicy. It's basically stock standard. Yeah, I think it's still pretty good position in this meta until you face it Prism, which I didn't. So
Yeah, which luckily you did not. Right now we're looking at
yes,
John's Swiss record at Battle Hardened Amsterdam. We have all 7 rounds of Swiss there. Looks like things went incredibly well for you, except for that round 4 with a loss to a hero that's not even living legend yet.
yeah, yeah. That's my only loss in Swiss. I think I misplayed that game as well. It was a Berserk KO, which you never even resolved Berserk once. So I just played against a regular KO, and I still lost. But yeah, I think I missed the key window of playing a Channel Lake Frigid when they played the Blood Rush Bellow, and I got mega punished. So I think it was even then it was a winnable game, and maybe looking back, maybe it's even Icelander favored. But yeah, it seemed play it more in the future. But I'm assuming that I don't know how good Berserk KO is, but there was some like running around the top tables.
Yeah, absolutely. I also wanted to mention real quick round 1 was versus Chain. You faced 2 chains in this tournament, the second of which
Mhm,
was your top 8 loss.
mhm.
W- how does it feel taking down your first chain and then being kicked out by the second one? Like what did you learn? Do you think it was a player difference, or does Icelander actually struggle into that matchup?
No, I do think at least from the games I played so far, that it should be Icelander favored, right? Because Shell's been good against Runeblade. So maybe I think I just there's a lot of things that I messed up as well during that top 8 chain game. Like there's some misplays that I made. I also scoured a lot of his in the top 8. I scoured a lot of his shell shackles away. Like every time he had 3, I sent him back to 0, like twice. And I was talking to him at the end of the game, and he said he was actually more scared of building up a lot of shackles, and then I hit him with like warmongers and hypothermia, and then he takes a lot of damage. So yeah, I don't know exactly if you're supposed to like. I'm pretty sure like it's still correct to scour the soul shackles, but he said it was for him it kind of helped him out like to be in a lower shackle 'cause he had just still enough on his banishes to kill me. Like I think he did like a crazy turn against me with a soul reaping. Is that yeah? That's a crazy card that he played. He did soul reaping, banished 2 bounding demigons, and flashed in either Marvin's Carry or Shadow Pop and went like 4 wide, and I just so much damage. But yeah, I
Chain
think
just
it's
doing what
I'm more
Chain
testing
does.
into the matchup. Yeah, yeah. I think I need more games in the matchup to see like is it correct to like scour all his soul shackles away, or more correct to like make him build up a big soul like a bandage zone, and then there's at least 5 cards that can mess him up and make him take damage if he's on high shackle. Like so, you have 3 channel like Frigids, 1 hypothermia, one monger. So maybe that's a strategy you can do against Chain as well, if you're playing him as Icelander.
You talked about limiting the number of scours in the deck, possibly losing like one or so.
Mhm.
Would you ever consider adding in another Warmonger's Diplomacy if that is the other trump card against these Rune Blades?
Well, I would if I could, but the Warmongers is also restricted, so you can only
Oh,
get
I
one card.
completely forgot. Right, you are.
Yeah, that's actually Alex from our team was joking that the beginning of the tournament that his Living Legend deck is weaker in in the CC deck because he had to take out two Whoremongers Diplomacy. So
That's right. That's
on the
right.
deck, yeah.
It's so strange to have a card that is uh, restricted in like an open format like Living Legend and not in a more limited format like CC.
Yeah.
Very
So his deck
counterintuitive.
was actually worse. Was actually worse in LL, but he ended up winning the tournament. So
So it looks
maybe it was.
like the other thing you were considering a lot was this Zen matchup. Did you expect to see a lot of Zen at a Living Legend tournament, despite the fact that he has not reached Living Legend status yet? And what were your fears, and how did you very clearly combat them and manage to make that a favorable matchup?
Yeah, I think I did expect a lot of Zen just because of Stubbies is unbanned, Belittle is unbanned, and I just theoretically I think he's already broken in CC, right? So adding those cards to his deck plus all the bonds again should make him a very strong deck. And I was right. I did face a lot of Zens, and it looked pretty strong. Like when I was watching them, like on the side against other decks, um, it looks like really strong to me. Yeah. So and it took the place of like Fi. Like I don't even think I saw Fi. I don't know what the breakdown was. But like it definitely like I think where the place where Stubby's Fights would have played, everyone just switched to Zen.
Yeah, and that can only make sense when you're generating a bunch of token attacks that come in for 0, right, and are benefiting from
Mhm.
stubbies.
Yeah, yeah,
It makes sense to me as well. 5 players are lamenting, I'm sure.
yep,
Um,
yep.
Seems like you also had really good luck into your longer form matchups, namely in round 3 against the Mirror and round 5 against Oldham. Are these matchups you had a lot of experience in from your CC days with this deck?
Yes, I did play the Mirror a lot and against Oldham a lot when I was in during the CC days. So round three, I played against Samuel Braven, former calling champion, I think, on Icelander. And he said that he didn't even bring energy potions in the Living Legend tournament because he didn't think there's gonna be a lot of Icelanders, but Icelander ended up being the most played deck in the tournament. So even I think could have didn't think that it would be a lot of Icelanders, but I guess everyone is nostalgic about playing Icelander, and everyone brought her. And I think in the matchup, it did make a difference that I had two energy potions and he had zero because like the energy potions really like insulate you at the end of the game to like a combo by just having that pop it and do do an a do a like barrier the attack. So like it was a close game, but in the end I was able to like combo first. Then against Oldham, I did that's the one where I said like I did the ice spinel combo for like 12. Evan was watching and he was like, "What the heck? That's a big ice eternal." Yeah.
Talk to me about a little bit more about this KO game, because especially after you described the benefits of playing Channel the Bleak Expanse against them, I'm kind of
Mhm.
hyped for the Icelander side of this match. You said he didn't play a single Berserk, even though he was a Berserk KO. Um,
Mhm.
do you think moving forward that you are going to change any of your tech choices against KO, or would you pretty much just hope to like pilot it a little bit better?
Yeah, I think you just pilot a little bit better. First time ever playing against Chaos Icelander. Like I didn't know which like windows where I can the correct windows whether to just put out that frostbite. It's really like with Icelander you need to find the correct windows right to deploy your frostbite to like disrupt their turn. So I think it's just more experience. I feel like it should be Icelander favorite. Like if they what can they break the sash and you reply with a channel like frigid like oh that's like really backbreaking for them. Yeah.
My heart is already breaking for a KO
Yeah.
that does that. Did he bring any
Yeah.
AB into you?
Yeah, AB3 because they have the natural AB2 helmet plus AB1 arms. So. And they do run a good amount of blue, so I think they can still AB3 and still have like another blue to like attack during their swing or something.
And then I know we've kind of harped on it a little bit, but that quarterfinal against Chain, you said one thing you might change is not scouring his soul shackles, even though you think it's mostly correct to do. Anything else we should know about this particular match and how it played out?
Um, yeah, I think here I just didn't see the right disruption at the right time. And also the chain went first, I think, and they set up faster. So like Chain is such a strong deck when they get their shackles going um just setting up. Plus they have a lot of Seeds of Agony is unbanned. Forgot about that card. It's something that again, like if I brought in a Metacarpus Node, I could probably like AB some of the Seeds of Agony pings as well. So
Yeah, Icelander is not the only one that got some old tools.
yeah, I was really happy that it was Chain round one because there was the Prism there, or two Prisms, one old Prism, one new Prism, um, and a Kano, and a Starvo. But I think I would rather have placed faced against Chain and the Zen. Just got unlucky and lost in the quarters. So maybe next time we'll see.
Certainly next time. John, you keep putting up really good results at both these bigger tournaments and our homegrown AGE Open Series. We're very glad to have you on the team, and also you're number one in my heart. Unless you have anything else, John, I think that covers it pretty well. Once again, massive congratulations to you. And anything else you want to say about Icelander before we shove off?
No, nothing else. Yeah, I'm glad to play Icelander again. I even got to use my Hornet Peak playmat I got from Colin Queenstown. Look
Show
at
it
this art
off,
by
my friend.
Sorry. Look at this cool art by Sorry Maya. So cool. But yeah,
John,
I got it
John,
from.
John. For those of you that don't know, John is a notorious world traveler, kind of a sneaky one at that, because at the world premiere for Heavy Hitters in Queenstown, none of us on the team knew that John was going to be there until we saw him on a stream game, and we were like, "Oh my goodness, John's in New Zealand. Who knew?"
Yeah, I think one point before the tournament, someone said, "Oh, who's interested in going to Queenstown?" One of our teammates. I said, "Yeah, I'm interested," but then no one else talked about it for like 2 months. When I actually booked the ticket like a few days after that, so like I guess I'll go. Um, and then didn't really tell anyone I was going. I was building my deck. Round one, they said, "There's two matches, John and someone else." I was like, "Okay, I guess I'm outed." But yeah, Queenstown was fun. I really like that area. I have fun memories. Fun fact: Cornet Peak is actually a mountain next to Queenstown. I think that's why the Cornet Peak map was the promo for that event because Cornet Peak is like a ski resort mountain in Queenstown. I went up there. It was during the summer, so there was no snow, but still nice views and yeah, had such a great time over there.
I didn't know that. That's a really fun bit of Fab trivia right there.
See, yeah, so come here for the deck tech and travel trivia.
Always an
We should do
enlightening
another.
person, and
We should do another show like with travel stuff.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll do the Fab channel, and then we'll also do the Fab Travel channel. You would definitely be heading
Yeah.
up that channel out of anybody on
Yeah.
the
So,
team, John.
which coffee shops are good in Amsterdam? By coffee shop, we mean like where you buy some of the stuff you smoke and not actual coffee. So that's what they call it over there. So I
John, it's
may or may not have smoked one. So
before you divulge too much information,
yeah.
let's get you out of here. John, thank you so much. It's
Okay.
always a
Yeah.
pleasure
No
chatting with you.
problem.
And
Yeah, I can't believe I did a deck tech. Never something I never thought I would have ever done in fact, but yeah, here we are.
well, I know we're gonna see you again soon. So get used to
Sure,
it.
sure.
I'm sure we're gonna be back with your next big result real soon.
Okay. Thanks, Bryce. Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, hope everyone at least got something useful out of this. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you to everybody for joining us from all of us here at Arcane Games and Events. And we will see you again real soon. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like this video if you enjoyed what you saw or if you got something out of it. We have live streams from all of our players coming up every week, bi weekly. And then we also, of course, have the Arcane Games and Events Open Series. Tune in next month for the Battle Hardened down in San Diego and the final AGE Open Series where players try to qualify for that illustrious Players Championship. Thanks again for joining us. Thank you, John, and we'll see you all next time.
See everyone in San Diego.